Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Scarhurzt, and in this video I am going to be taking you through everything that you need to know about the latest 1.17 Caves and Cliffs Snapshot Update 21W13A. As usual, I am going to be going through the official snapshot notes as provided by Mojang, which you can find if you just navigate to your Minecraft launcher page, and I'm going to be starting a totally new 21W13A world in which we can have a look around at the new features and changes that have been introduced. Just a quick reminder to all of you that this is a brand new channel and I need subscribers, so if you fancy becoming one of the early subscribers for the channel and beating the rush, then make sure you smash that subscribe button and do give the video a like and comment below if you have anything to say or anything that I missed out. Do make sure to let me know. Okay then, down to business. This is the snapshot of the goat, everybody. That's right, Mojang are going to be dropping some sick bleats. Yeah, not too bad, Mojang. I love a good dad joke every now and then. 5 out of 10. So after being showcased in the experimental games feature for the Bedrock edition since December, goats have finally made their Java game debut, and these little bovine scamps really are quite cute. I really like the textures and the skin for them. They look very realistic compared to some of the other animals, to be honest. But they don't really seem to manage well in powder snow. Yeah, they really do just pathfind straight into it and get stuck, and they get frozen. Poor goats. Yeah, but I will be mentioning some other changes to do with powder snow later on in the video, so I'll just leave that one there for now. Goats are fully breedable and can be tempted and bred using wheat. Nice and simple, just like cows and sheep, just right clicking on 2 of them, and the little baby goat. Oh, it is adorable. And goats can now be used to obtain milk using a bucket just like you do with a cow. And as promised, these goats are able to scale mountainsides with powerful jumps, which they will use to get around obstacles or gaps, for example. Unfortunately, so far there doesn't seem to have been a ramming attack function added into the Java edition of the game. We had previously been teased with clips of goats butting mobs off huge cliff faces and all sorts of crazy stuff like that, but I wasn't able to provoke an attack from any goats that I encountered, unfortunately, and they didn't attack anything else either. We'll have to keep an eye on how that one evolves as the snapshots unfold. Despite this, overall, I think goats are a really strong addition to the Minecraft animal kingdom, and definitely a mob I'd hope to see more development over the course of the upcoming snapshot updates as well. Just before I forget, we have also had the introduction of an option in the accessibility features for the loading screen to be changed from red to black. This was purely aesthetic, but I must admit I'm actually kind of torn between the two as to which I like better. Comment below and tell me which one you prefer. Now we get to the cave tweaks, and as always there's a lot to talk about and sometimes not as much to be 100% sure about. As always with tweaks, it's quite difficult to tell the difference from previous snapshot updates and versions. However, the increase on the max length of pillars and chains that spawn in mine shafts is definitely something that was pretty clear. On the other hand, spawning mine shafts in large caves with flowing lava isn't exactly ideal, as you can see. Carver caves are now less likely to be too flat to walk through. As far as I'm aware, carvers are just simple shaped air spaces that don't form part of a cave network. I could be wrong though. Not exactly 100% sure. However, there do seem to be less tiny crawl spaces and less kind of 1-block gaps that you'd sometimes come across. So yeah, great. Next up we have the noise cave tweaks, which are just basically to do with how caves generate in Minecraft worlds. First, there will be an increased likelihood of mega caves, amazing, otherwise known as large cheese caves. I definitely prefer the latter name. Secondly, there will be a reduced likelihood of toothpick pillars. This just means there will be less block pillars which are only one single block wide generated, of all kinds I think, but again I'm not 100% whether that only applies to dripstone or to all sorts of pillar formations. This, as well as many of the other bug fixes included in the 21W13A patch notes, have been implemented primarily to make the cheese caves more varied, interesting, and better looking in general. I'll reserve judgment on how effective this has been for the time being, until we see parts like the dripstone caverns and lush caves all come together with all of this. Nonetheless, everything still does look amazing. Dripstone clusters can now be found rarely in normal caves, and deep slate blobs can also be found between heights 0 and 16y. Axolotls and glow squids additionally will now spawn in water sources. However, there is maybe a little bit of adjustment needed with this. So that's basically everything for the cave tweaks, and next up we move on to the ore distribution tweaks. Very briefly, Mojang have really quite simply just increased the frequency of iron, which means that as you're mining and exploring caves you'll see more iron around, and they've also made it so that larger diamond ore blobs will sometimes form. Not bad, once again, more diamonds. Mojang know what we want and they know how to sell these snapshots. Now we're going to head back above ground for just a second, and once again we're going to take a look at the changes to powder snow mechanics that we mentioned earlier. To begin with, the hardness of powder snow blocks has been slightly increased, which means that it will take a bit longer to mine one of the blocks. Potentially getting out of a snowdrift is going to be harder now. Second, the freeze time has been shortened to 7 seconds, which was quite a bit less than previously, which I think was about 30 seconds until you were in the freezing state. Frozen damage now also occurs every 2 seconds, which means it's a lot more dangerous getting stuck in a powder snowdrift. Tacked onto this, skeletons that fall into a powder snowdrift will also now start changing into strays after 7 seconds rather than 30. Third, entities on fire will now melt powder snow upon contact. That makes sense, but you don't get any water though, it evaporates into the nether. Fourth, vertical movement speed in powder snow has been slightly increased. I don't know whether this is to just keep it in line with movement speed in other directions, or whether it's to make it easier to escape, I'm not sure. Fifth, strays, polar bears, and snow golems are now all immune to freezing. Given their natural affinities to the cold, that makes total sense. Conversely, mobs that like the heat, like blazes, striders, and magma cubes, will take increased damage when frozen. Seventh, mobs, and that includes players that are frozen, will now visibly shake, and I really like that. It's a nice little touch to the game though. And last but not least for the powder snow updates, horses can now be protected from freezing damage by equipping them with leather armor, just like a player. However, you will have to be careful to remember your own leather boots, as being on top of a horse with leather armor won't protect you from freezing to death on your steed. That's it for the powder snow updates, so we move on to the trade and loot table changes, which are all pretty simple. Masons will now have an option to trade you 4 dripstone blocks for 1 emerald, and wandering traders will now sell you 2 pointed dripstone, or 2 rooted dirt, or 2 moss blocks for 1 emerald, in addition to their current inventories. Lastly, moss blocks have been added to the shipwreck chests, and glowberries have been added to the mineshaft chest. Personally, I'm not that bothered with any of these, aside from potentially less cool stuff in other chests, but yeah, we'll move on, whatever. Bees will now treat flowering azalea bushes and flowering azalea leaves as flowers. That totally makes sense. And with that, we head back underground for the last few changes and additions. Perhaps my favourite addition in this snapshot is the light block. This is a block that you can only summon in using the OP privileges, and you do so by just typing /give, and then you type your player name that you want to give it to, and then just put light and select the Minecraft light at the end there. Once you've done this, it will give the player a light source block. Once the player has the light block in their hand, they can place it and it will emit light based on the block state. This means they're fully command ready for any servers, and it's a really cool feature, I think, just to add lighting effects that don't rely on torches or lamps. In addition to this, you can also cycle through the brightness by right-clicking on the light blocks themselves, which are only visible when you've actually got the light block in hand. Another cool function, makes it easier for you to keep track of where you've actually placed them once you've done so in creative. Like I said, guys, I had so much fun messing around with this, and I really think this addition is super awesome. But tell me what you guys think, if you've got any really cool ideas for, or cool plans for what to do with the light block in your Minecraft designs. Let me know in the comment section below. And last but not least, we have some substantial changes to axolotl behaviour. As we mentioned previously, axolotls and glow squids will now spawn in underground water sources, and oh well, look, here we are, we've got some right here in this little pool. Axolotls will now chase after all the different fish types, including elder guardians, as well as drowned and squids. However, they have now been changed to prioritise killing hostile mobs before going and hunting the non-hostile mobs like cod and salmon. And as they've also added a 2-minute cooldown to the hunting patterns of non-hostile mobs, that means that if your axolotl accidentally gets into your fish tank, you won't have so much to worry about. I couldn't help myself experimenting to see how long it would take a gang of axolotls to take out an elder guardian, and that got out of hand pretty quickly. And finally, as always, we get to the bug fixes section. As usual, I have neither the time nor patience to go through all of this, so here's all of them just at once. Perhaps the most outstanding one out of all of these though is MC3366, which fixes the transparency issue of end portals when seen from below. This is I guess the 3,366th reported bug over 220 1,000 that have been currently reported. It's a good job finally getting to it, though, you know, it had to happen eventually. And that is everything that you need to know about Minecraft 1.17 Snapshot 21W13A. If you want more details for reference, or if you want to read all of the bug fixes for some unknown reason, be my guest, just head over to the patch notes on your Minecraft launch page. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it, please do give it a like, and please do subscribe if you want to see more. Also check out my other channel, it's at Scarhurzt, and that's a shorts channel, so if you don't like procrastination, maybe don't. And I will see you for the next Snapshot update. Goodbye, everybody.